That's right. Welcome in. And it is a live edition of the IdahoSports.com Prepcast, our 2023 Idaho High School State Baseball Tournament Preview Extravaganza. We are on the road to the baseball championships. Literally, I'm already on the road to Lewiston. That's why I'm in this echoey room and not in my usual podcast setup. The 1A tournament starts on Wednesday. Everything else starts on Thursday. And once again, IdahoSports.com will have live coverage of every single pitch, every single game from state baseball this weekend. So welcome in. I'm Brandon Baney. We are joined by Gary Jones and Lucas Gebhart, batting leadoff tonight because they will be on the call for the 5A state baseball tournament taking place at Wolf Field on the campus of the College of Idaho in Caldwell. And again, fans, as you're watching tonight, a couple of things, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, if you could hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then share this later, it helps out a ton. Not everybody can be here tonight to watch it live. There's going to be a lot of people coming back the next several nights to watch this on replay, and it's easier for them to find the more likes and shares and retweets that there are. So, and secondly, we're taking your questions, your comments, your shout outs live tonight. If you want to give a shout out to your favorite team, your favorite player, you want to ask us a question, throw it in the chat. We'll throw it up on the screen. Gentlemen, welcome in. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Lucas, looking good?
Yep, likewise. So excited that we finally have some good weather, it looks like, here this weekend, something that we haven't really had so far this spring. So it should be a good weekend for baseball for sure.
Yeah, when a Treasure Valley guy is saying the weather wasn't great, you know it's been bad because usually it's pretty good weather. Here's Sam Buffington, our number one fan from up north. Hello, everyone. Hey, Sam, good to see you. Sam's always the first commenter. Idaho Sports Diehard. We love it. Thank you, Sam. All right, guys, let's throw the 5A bracket up on the screen. Let's actually dive into this thing and take a look at it here. Gary, when you look at this 5A bracket, what is the first thing that jumps out to you?
I guess the first thing that jumps out is Hawaii is ranked number one, and they're the defending champs, so they're in the driver's seat. I also have some history with their coach, Russ Wright. He used to coach over in this area. I coached against him when he was a coach of Payette, and then I coached against him when he was a coach of Fruitland. In my opinion, the man is the best baseball coach in the state of Idaho. I don't know who you'd replace him with. So I naturally looked at Hawaii being number one with Russ there. But they're in a dogfight with Middleton. Middleton, they both had 11-1 records in league. And the other thing I noticed, 5 teams are back. Mountain View's back again in the tournament this year. Lewiston won consolation last year. They're back. Hawaii won the whole thing. They're back. Timberline won third over Mountain View. So those are your 5 returning teams. Maybe I missed one. No, maybe 4 returning. Oh, and Lewiston. No, I think I said those. So you got 4 or 5 returning teams with a lot of experience, and it should be a barn burner.
Yeah, Hawaii and Middleton played in that best-of-3 district championship series for the District 3 title, and Middleton won that 2-1. And so for the Vikings competing in their first year at the 5A level after a good run at the 4A classification, should be interesting to see how they do. Lucas, what's the first thing that jumps out to you when you look at this bracket?
Yeah, well, I mean, number one, it's the amount of SIC schools that are in this thing, and these schools have all played each other pretty much the whole year. And then, another thing is that 2-7 matchup at the top of the bracket, I think, is an interesting one. Timberline's a school that makes this tournament almost every single year. A really good baseball program over there in Eastern Boise. And then Middleton, a school that's coming up to 5A from the 4A level. Middleton has had, don't get me wrong, a very good 4A program over the years, but that's an interesting matchup to me just because of the pedigree that this Timberline program has, and then Middleton just being brand new to this classification. And then as we kind of look at these lower seeds, Lake City, another school that they have some pitching depth, I kind of think that's an interesting 3-6 matchup as well. But Gary's right. Hawaii's in the driver's seat. I think them and Middleton, they're kind of the top 2 dogs in this classification. You probably can flip a coin 1 or 2 for both of them, but I think Hawaii has a little bit more depth, so I do agree that they are the number 1 team going into this tournament. But whether or not they win it, we'll find out this weekend for sure.
Yes, shout out to Timberline. They came into districts as the number 8 seed in the SIC, the Southern Idaho Conference. And so they always seem to figure it out in the postseason, right? They scuffled a little bit during the regular season. And yet, here they are at state once again, the pedigree, like Lucas mentioned. Gary, let me ask you about sports psychology here for a second. Owyhee is the number 1 seed, coming in as the overall favorite. Of course, Owyhee is the defending champion as well, but it was a different story last year. Owyhee came in as a bottom 4 seed, and nobody was saying, oh, yeah, Owyhee is going to be the team that's going to win it all. If they did, they're either A, an Owyhee fan, or B, a liar. And so, Gary, Owyhee was able to pull off the underdog run last year and win state. How different is it coming in as the number 1 target when everybody's, lining up to hit the piñata? Gary, are you there still?
Gary left the show.
Yeah,
he's back.
Gary.
Oh, man. Gary, you with us?
I pushed something. I went off the air. I tried to hook back on. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Can you see me?
Well, I mean, we have the bracket up on the screen, but
Oh, okay. I don't know what I touched, but I got back on.
That's all right. Hey, so did you hear my question, Gary?
Part of it.
Okay, so basically last year, Owyhee went to state as a bottom 4 seed. I think they were the 5 seed. They pulled off the underdog run, got to the championship, won it all. This year, the number 1 team coming in as the team everyone's lining up to take their best hit at. From a mental perspective, how different is that for Owyhee?
It is different because when you got the target on your back, you're number 1. There's a lot more pressure on you. If you go in as an underdog, everybody expects you to lose, so there's not as much pressure on you. I noticed with Russ Wright, I got some information back with him. He talked about his team's strength, and he said more experienced group than last year, really gritty players. So the ones he's got back that have that title in their belt, they're the ones that will feel the pressure. But then again, they got a title under their belt. Maybe they won't feel as much pressure. It's a two-sided coin. It can work either way.
Yeah, and of course, Owyhee famously second year of existence as a high school, so they're young in just about every sport. Lucas, who's a lower seeded team that could be like in Owyhee last year and get on a run and get to the championship?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's Lake City. Pulling up some of their stats, they have a really deep pitching staff. So, you're basically going to get their 3 top guys. They all have 11 appearances. All of them have an ERA that's under 2.28 or less. I mean, that's kind of what you need to. And if you could get 3 quality starts from those 3 guys, you only play 3 games. So if you get 3 quality starts and then get enough offense. To me, Lake City, I think, and there's just so much unknown. We talk about it every year with every tournament. So much unknown coming up from North Idaho. They just don't play as many schools from the Treasure Valley or Eastern Idaho. So to me, it's Lake City. But, again, we talked about Timberline, too. Timberline's a team with the pedigree, and they're playing their best baseball at the right time. So, you get a program like that with as much experience as they have, as well coached as they are. You get them playing the best baseball at the right time. That could be a dangerous team as well.
Gary, is there a team lurking, an underdog that you like?
Let me group the underdogs. The SIC from Boise has won. In 2019, Mountain View won. In 2020 was canceled because of COVID. 2 years ago, Timberline won. Last year, Owyhee won. So for the last 5 years, the SIC has won state. You keep rolling dice, sometimes the number's going to come up different. You can't flip heads 100 times in a row. So this might be the year that somebody upsets. And I'd have to go with what Lucas said. From all the stats I've looked at, Lake City, I think, has the best shot at it. The one thing, I coach baseball, as you guys know. I can tell you, though, the most important factor in all of the 3-game series is your pitching. Especially, like I coached a little 2A school, so there was a lot of difference between number 1 and number 3 pitcher. And you got to have good pitching to win every game. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the pitchers in this contest, all 8 teams, because you got so many athletes to choose from in the 5As. You can have great pitchers, but you need to have 3 good pitching games to win state. So the team that wins state is a team that pitches most successfully for 3 games.
Yeah, the pitching strategy that comes in, trying to navigate, who do you throw in game one? Do you save your best pitcher for the end? Well, you may not get to the end. That's going to be all the fun. Now, I will tell you, though, Middleton and Hawaii especially are very loaded in their top two. And if they can figure out that third starter, they're in a good spot.
And Brandon, I'm glad you said that. That was the most difficult decision I ever had in my life, figuring out the order I wanted my pitchers to stay. Because you can save your best pitcher for number 2 or 3. But if you lose the first game, you're saving it for the consolation game, and I've gone both ways. And I can just tell you that was a gut-wrenching decision. It's something I would second-guess myself on clear to the end, and it's not easy.
Yeah, and there's no right answer. Lucas, you mentioned Lucas, you mentioned Lake City. They're breaking in a new coach this year. Of course, longtime coach Paul Manzardo stepped down at the end of last season. His son, Kyle Manzardo, is a big-time prospect for the Tampa Bay Rays. I think he's at AAA right now, on the doors of breaking into the big leagues. And so this is a program that's got a lot of history on its side. It's a new coach, but it's a lot of the same players.
Yeah, and then that's kind of what they have going for them, with a lot of the same players, and they kind of pieced it together this year. It's been a while since they've been here at the state tournament. One of the few teams that didn't play in last year's tournament, like we mentioned over at the top. And yeah, I really think that quarterfinal game against Eagle, that game Thursday at 12:30 Mountain Time, I think that's a winnable game for Lake City. And really, this 5A bracket, don't get me wrong, Hawaii and Middleton are the top 2 dogs, no questions about it. But then there's kind of a logjam from the 3 seed to 6, 7 seed, maybe. That whole 3 down to the 6, 7 spot. There's not a whole lot of difference between those 2 teams. So those middle 2 part of the bracket, those middle 2 games, I think those really could go either way.
Yeah, and that Mountain View Highland, that 4-5 matchup, I think is going to be kind of intriguing as well. Both programs, no strangers to playing at state. Highland has been the premier program in East Idaho the last several years. All right, guys, before we get out of here, let's take a look at our 5A players to watch. We picked one from each school. Again, it's just kind of a jumping off point, if you will. We'll start with Eagles' great pitcher, Zawadzki, and I probably butchered that. I'm doing this on my phone, and so the half of his name is cut off there, if you guys want to help me out. Gunnar Wilhelm from Highland, Cooper Smith from Lake City, Chris Rickard from Lewiston, big power bat. Robert Orlowski does it at the plate, does it on the mound. He's committed to Division I University of Texas San Antonio from Middleton. We've got Jack Barker from Mountain View. Ryder Cutlip is also a Division I commit from Hawaii. He's committed to Gonzaga, and he's still only a junior. And then you've got Carter Walsh from Timberline. Gary, which player are you most excited to see perform?
Probably Cutlip from Hawaii, because he's such a good pitcher. Like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the pitching here. I'm sure we're going to see good hitting, but the 5A should stand out because of the fine pitching they have. But I wanted to just add one more thing. There's no baseball polls with the writers. So there's only 2 power rankings we can use. Our own one, we have the power rankings in the Idaho Sports. Middleton's 1, Hawaii's 2. And then we have Max Prep. Hawaii's 1 and Middleton's 2. So in terms of the power rankings and Max Prep, everybody agrees Middleton and Hawaii's number 1 or 2. Doesn't mean they're going to win, though, does it?
Right, for sure. Scott H. says, let's go Bonneville Bees. Yes, our 4A conversation is coming up for sure. Josh Byer says, let's go Vikes, Middleton Vikings. And yet we want to hear all of your shout outs. Sam says, who would be considered a dark horse in the 5A tournament? I think we said, Lake City, certainly, Timberline. And honestly, once you drop down from the top 2, anybody at that point, I would consider a dark horse, certainly. Sam says, if I'm correct, Lake City hasn't been to the state tournament in baseball since 2016 when they won it all against Meridian High. Sam, I'm going to go with you on that because you're our North Idaho guy. Like, you know the deal up there. So you're right. Lake City has had some very good teams in the past, but maybe not as recently as we all thought. Lucas, going back to our players to watch, what's one guy that you are most excited to see compete?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gary on this one and Cutlip. I got a chance to watch him in the 5A tournament last year, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how He pitches and performs in this year's tournament. And, one last thing kind of going back to the bracket, Mountain View, a team that it looked like it was Mountain View's year last year. They're sitting down there at the 4 seed, and that could potentially be a rematch in the state semifinals against Hawaii on Friday night. And Mountain View fans remember pretty well on how that game ended, as do the Hawaii fans. Mountain View, I'm sure, would love to get some revenge on the other side of that, because if they play in the semifinals, Hawaii would be the heavy favorite. Last year was Mountain View. So I'm sure if that's a rematch in the state semifinals, that'd be one to watch just from an emotion standpoint.
Yeah, it was a wild tournament last year for sure, with all of the 5A action that was going on. So again, the 5A tournament starts Thursday, runs through Saturday at Wolf Field at the College of Idaho in Caldwell. Every single pitch on IdahoSports.com with Gary Jones and Lucas Gebhart. Gentlemen, thank you for hopping on to preview the 5A state tournament. Have a good call, guys.
Thanks, but I just want you to think about the spring these players played in baseball outdoors in northern Idaho and eastern Idaho. It was even cold here in southwestern, so it's supposed to be like 90 degrees this weekend. Completely different from the spring they had to suffer through to get here.
They earned it. Baseball weather this weekend.
Yeah, finally, right? All right. Well,
Yeah.
we will take a break, and we will come back with our 4A state tournament preview on the other side of this break. You're watching the 2023 Idaho High School Baseball State Tournament Preview Special on IdahoSports.com. There's the championship ring from Gary Jones. Yes.